Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Watch Pals. My name's Chris, and this week we watched the movie Freaked. But before we get into that, let's meet the pals. Welcome to the show, Jeff. Thank you for being here.
Hey, I'm here.
Brian, thank you for being here.
Hey, he's here, I'm here.
And last but not least, Jordan, thank you for being here.
Sure.
This week, we watched Freak, and this was Brian's decision.
Freaked.
Past tense.
Freaked.
Freaked. I was
You've
freaked
been
out
freaked.
by this movie
You got freaked
multiple
out.
times. Brian brought this movie to our attention,
What a surprise.
and while there wasn't as much dong as usual in a Brian flick,
They were disappointed.
I want to hear, Brian, remind us why you picked this movie.
So I was actually telling this story right before we started recording to Jordan. When I was about 10 years old, I think
What?
about 10 or 11, when this film came out, my cousin and I found this film in a movie rental store.
In the dumpster behind the movie rental store.
No, I mean, like, what's crazy is, like, if you ask people about this film, like, there are some certain people in the know that know about this movie. It's crazy. But I thought it was one of those, like, 1 in a million films you'd never hear of again. But it's an early 90s comedy starring Bill and Ted, Excellent Adventure and Bogus Journey. He also wrote and helped write it and was friends with the director. I guess they had a show on MTV in the late 80s, early 90s called The Idiot Box, and they basically made skit comedy or like weird skit, like, you know, dark comedy skits. So these guys got together. They were supposed to make this movie. It was supposed to be originally a horror movie with the Butthole Surfers, apparently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Their music's in it all over the place. Yeah.
Right. So that was the original outline. Then it turned into a dark comedy. And yeah, and this movie, again, like I like finding movies that are just are off the common path, but for good reason. Like, they're not crappy movies, at least in my opinion, but they're very weird. This is one of those like super weird, like dark Naked Gun kind of comedies.
This is kind of one of those movies you like when you rent like a rental home and you see like they have a collection of video cassettes in there.
Like below the TV in there.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, look at this garbage. And this is one of those movies from seeing the cover of it, and I'm like,
First world problems when you rent a home.
yeah.
When you go on vacation and you rent a home, guys. Have you heard of this? Have you had this happen to you?
Come on, we've stayed in some garbage homes.
You ever
before.
rent a home and just sit down on the couch or looking under the TV and say, look at this
You ever rent someone else's home, guys?
Look at these poor people.
God. Alex Winter is his name. Bill.
Thank you. He morphed into a film director in later years, and he actually did a recent documentary on the musician Frank Zappa, which was really good.
For the longest time, I thought Alex Winters was the same guy who played the sniper in Saving Private Ryan.
They're very similar. Like, he looks like he could be his brother.
Yeah, I was
an
like,
actor.
oh, it's the same guy. Look at him coming a long way, doing a war movie and being a serious
Kissing
movie.
his cross. And, yeah.
No, he's not the same guy. Never mind. All right.
Well, to be fair, Keanu, I mean, look at him. He went on to do a million awesome things, so.
True. And Keanu may be in this film, but
Uncredited, right?
yeah, he didn't take credit on this film, surprisingly.
Yeah.
He got $1 million for it, though, apparently.
Oh, wow. I actually didn't know that.
Oh, what?
He took the payoff.
Well, Brian, do you have any questions for us or anything you want to ask the pals before we get started?
Sure. So that's actually a good question. Is there a movie, like when you were growing up, obviously went to the movie rental store. Is there a movie that you would rent over and over again from the movie rental store that you can think of? Or anything that maybe a memory from the movie rental store, like any kind of movie that you rented, like that has like a core memory unlock.
Huh.
Didn't we already kind of do this?
Well, Brian, you go first.
Yeah.
I think, it was a cartoon, Jordan. I think this is like any movie.
I mean, a big moment for me is actually, I was thinking about one of my favorite movies of all time is Evil Dead 2. And it was hard. Like when I was a kid, it came out on VHS, obviously, and I was too young to see it. So when I tried to see it later in life, it was harder to find until I was a teenager and they re-released it on VHS at my Blockbuster. So that's a huge thing for me that I finally could get this movie and see it at my movie rental store.
Jeff, do you have an answer?
I don't think I do. But well, here's the thing. My first job ever was at Blockbuster Video, so I got to rent so many movies.
I also worked at Blockbuster. That's insane. Yeah.
That my brain is like, I don't know. I don't know what you got, Brian, but when I worked there, I got 5 free rentals a week. I think I've already talked about this on the podcast. So I rented anything and everything pretty much. Core memories of movies. I remember I was very excited that I got a screener from Blockbuster.
Yeah.
Of The Count of Monte Cristo. Which
I got
wasn't
the Legend
a bad
of Drunken
movie.
Master. Yeah, that's the one I got.
That was it was just cool to get those perks. Like, oh, I got this on tape before anyone else does.
The early VHSs, yeah.
Yeah. What else? I don't know. Oof, that's a tough one. I mean, a lot of Ninja Turtles were rented. I used to have the ones, I think Pizza Hut had some. Mm-hmm. So that was something.
Green
for
tapes.
Sure. Yeah. The clamshells.
Yeah.
So, Jordan, do you have an answer?
For what was the question again? I lost track. I lost track.
Really,
Sorry.
I guess
A
you could
movie
say,
you've rented over and over and over again.
or is there any kind of like movie rental memories you have?
Okay, so movie I rented over and over. I thought of this before. It was Never Ending Story. My dad always commented like, "You guys must have broke the machine watching that sometimes." So my partner and I have been going through like a list that we keep of scary movies, and if something popped up on one of the streaming services, and the image of it, I remember always seeing this at the rental store in the horror section. I always wanted to watch it, but the cover of the tape itself, like the box cover art, scared the crap out of me. It's Fright Night.
Okay. Because it had the cloud of the vampire.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it had this house, it was in the dark, but there's one sole light on, and it had like, you could see a human figure in it. But above the house, it's a nighttime scene. Above the house was a massive cloud, and had like this woman's face, and had like the vampire teeth. I was like, man, what is this movie about? And I remember seeing so many movies like that in the horror section. There's all these other ones that were just like that. I was like, oh man, I don't know. Like that seems so cool, but like I'm too scared to like even attempt to watch something like that.
Watch it, right.
I remember the box on that so vividly, and it popped up the other day, and I was like, oh my God, still haven't seen this movie. We watched a trailer for it. It looked so bad.
Boy.
Not scary at all, but I was like, oh my God, this looks, as a kid, I was like, this looks so cool, but so scary.
You know what? Now I have an answer based on what you just said.
I was going to say, I did the same thing at Shop and Save, which was like a local grocery store, because they had video rentals, and my mom would shop around the store, and I literally would just look at box art. And I wouldn't rent any of the scary movies. I would just literally look at every single box art.
And that's how they got you. So, I mean, especially with the video game rentals, that's how I always got rented video games based on the box art. Half the time they were crap, but those scary movie ones are so good for a long time.
That's how I rented the McDonald's game for Nintendo.
McKids?
Yeah.
I'm going to change I got an answer now because Jordan triggered a memory in me. So here's one. It's a deep cut. Maybe we'll put it on the list. But I saw this very young. It came out in 1990. I'm not sure when I saw it, but I did see it. And for the longest time, I was scared to go in like the bathroom at like school.
Oh, I know exactly what this is.
Do you know what it is?
I think I know. It's the cover. Is it Ghoulies?
It's close. It's the Willies.
Oh, it's the Willies.
The Willies. That monster was creepier. But it's a comedy though. But like I was a little kid, I didn't know.
I thought it was Ghoulies because the monster was
Ghoulies.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's real little. This monster was big.
It's big, yeah.
Yeah. So that's one. That I didn't rent that constantly though. I was like scared of it.
So I rented a lot was, especially when I was like, I think came out in 90. Movie came out in 92. It's called Ladybugs with Rodney Dangerfield. Remember that?
I saw that in the theater, dude.
Yeah. So I was into soccer when I was growing up, and so I like watched that and The Big Green. I rented The Big Green a lot.
The Big Green,
another soccer movie. Yeah. But I was just reading this thing about Ladybugs, that the main character Jonathan Brandis, him and Leonardo DiCaprio were up as the role as the main character in 92 or 91 when they filmed this.
Oh, like he was auditioning.
It was between those two. They said that the producer said Leo looked too too convincing in drag, and so took away from like the,
wow.
the feel of the there was no joke there because it looked like too much like a girl, I guess.
Yeah.
Shout out
Prepubescent
to
boy.
the Jonathan Brandis and Sidekicks with Chuck Norris.
Oh yeah.
Might have to be a watch pal someday.
Yeah. Okay. Let's get into the recap. And Brian, you're stealing.
Do you have any thoughts going into this film? Like any thoughts? Did you hear? Like, did you see anything about this? I mean, Jeff did have the advantage here because he was intoxicated, but he did watch this film.
Yeah. On the previous, on the last, when we were introing what we were going to watch this week, I divulged that the only time I had seen this was when I was pretty drunk after hanging out with Brian one night a while ago. So I didn't remember a lot of it, but I remembered it being like the perfect movie for being drunk. So
long drunk day.
So my first impression was I can't wait to just watch this and not be under the influence of anything and just see if I still enjoy it. So,
Jordan, did you have any impressions going into it?
So Brian had brought this up like outside of this, like in a separate conversation, and I remember he started showing us the trailer for it, and I immediately like remembered. I was like, I think I vaguely remember seeing this, and I know why now. But I thought about this. So back when I was in like middle school, maybe early high school, in the summer, like in the middle of the afternoon, there was like nothing on TV ever. Everything was either reruns. Once like Saturday morning cartoons are off, there's nothing but like reruns. I remember for one summer, this kept popping up on like maybe like Fox or something like that. And this is one of those movies. Some people might know this, some people not, but like they'd show a movie and they'd at a commercial break, they'd show like this, like a thumbnail or a screenshot of the movie saying the movie will be right back. The Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon matinee will be right back after these messages. And this movie, for some reason, that summer kept popping up, and I was like, "Oh my god!" I'd start watching parts of it and be so uncomfortable by it that I was like, "This all summer long, this kept popping up." And I was like, "I'm good. Nope." And I remember seeing, I was like, "That's the guy from," because I would watch parts only for like 2 minutes at a time, but like this is the guy from Bill and Ted. I'm like, I love those movies. And I was like, why is he a dick in this movie? Like, I don't like him at all. This is not the guy I know. So I remember that kept showing up, and I was the few times I tried to watch it for only a few minutes, it made me so uncomfortable visually that I was like, I'm not going to watch this. I'm good. But it had like that trauma feel to it.
Yeah.
I also remember trauma. I didn't watch a lot of the movies like this has to be a trauma movie, but I guess it's not. But it definitely seemed like it. No, it's not,
but it has that raw feel to it a little bit.
And first time I saw it, I was like, oh, this is the Toxic Avenger. I haven't ever seen the Toxic Avenger, but like, this is it. But that wasn't it either.
Yeah, I watched this with my girlfriend, and when the credits came up, she was like, man, this feels like 90s MTV. And I was like, oh, it does. Like, just the vibe of that a little bit. Maybe not so much the movie, but some
animation,
of like the aesthetic.
That style.
Yeah, there's like claymation in some parts and stuff.
Yeah. I also had never seen this or heard of this or even knew what the hell you were talking about when you told us about it. I gotta say that I going into this, you show us the preview, and I was like, God, there's probably gonna be so much weird wiener in there. Like I mentioned many times in this last episode, in this episode.
Chris just seems to think I'm all about cinema wiener, and it's just not true.
I mean,
no, not yet.
Proof of it, like, it was evidence of this so far.
We need to keep a tally. Keep a tally of everyone
there wasn't
who
any wiener in this film.
Yeah, there wasn't.
Prior to this.
Anyway, I think in general, I had like just an impression of like, here's another Brian B movie. Here we go again. I don't know. The trailer did nothing for me, but I was excited to dive right in here and take a look. But
you sure sounded.
I think it's really funny that Brian has picked like trauma level movies and then Indiana Jones in the Last Crusade. Like,
because I was trying to spice it up.
Keep them guessing.
Yep.
Yeah. On your toes. Tiptoes, in fact.
Oh,
wow.
Classic.
Callback. All right, Brian, you want to take us down the ride, the hill?
Let's go.
Freaks.
So let's just start. Okay. The film begins with an insane claymation credit sequence, which if you're a fan of like 90s alt rock or like Buzzbin type stuff, to show you how old I am, the opening song I think is from Rollins Band. So just an insane display of like, kind of like the characters are about to come up in the film. They give you little glimpses. I don't know, actually, maybe little glimpses of the characters, but mostly it's just kind of like, I don't know, claymation madness for all the credits. So
yeah, it's like all the actors that are in it.
Yeah, they show the characters, like in some of the actors, like they split up, they go back and forth.
The style of that remind me of like the weird punk skater stuff you'd see in the 90s, like that crazy artwork where like the eyes are bulging out and like everything's
Like
over
graffiti
exaggerated.
art.
Yeah.
Almost like you cut out a bunch of different pieces of like a magazine to like make a picture or something.
Yeah, like ransom notes.
But yeah, it's if you're paying attention to the names that show up here though, it's kind of nuts. There's a lot of big names. I'm like, what? Like, it's crazy how many people like Mr. T is in this, you know.
Yeah, big actors. Randy Quaid's in this. William Sadler.
What happened to
who
him?
also
Man?
played.
Jeez. He went off the deep end.
That's a whole episode in itself, really, with Randy Quaid. But William Sadler, who played Death in Bogus Journey, Bill and Ted, which is pretty awesome, and he was in the new Bill and Ted too. But Megan Ward, who was in like a lot of like, I don't know, early mid 90s to late 2000s stuff. She was in a crappy arcade or a horror movie called Arcade, if you ever saw that, but you should. And then, of course, Bobcat Goldthwait does the voice of Sockhead, the sock puppet man. We'll get to him.
What a great arc he has in this movie.
Oh,
Yeah. Wow.
they found the right voice actor for that character, but
What American treasure he was.
One actor, he played the Oompa Loompas in Tim Burton's Willy Wonka movie.
Deep Roy?
Yeah. He's in that scene. There's a scene that'll come up, and maybe we should bring up later. When the guy's shrinking, he's one of those.
He's one of the shrinking men.
Yeah.
So that's actually coming up right in the beginning. But so the last actress that I was going to say on the list, and she's actually in the first scene. There's an intro scene that they're kind of flipping through the TV channels, and they say the flying gimp has been destroyed. You may return to your homes. It's a news alert that comes on the screen. Kind of sets the tone for this film. But they cut to the opening scene, which is the Sky Daily Show, who is Brooke Shields. She was another 80s to 90s actress. Returned to Blue Lagoon, I think.
Well, it's Blue Lagoon, and then they made
a sequel, didn't they?
which they mentioned, and she's like, I didn't see it. It looks terrible.
Oh, she wasn't even in it.
Mila Jovovich was in it, who was in the last movie we just talked
was in
about.
the last
wow.
episode. Talk about turnaround.
Wait, what's that about? The Blue Lagoon? Is it a monster?
Blue Lagoon? No, it's a couple kids on an island.
They're cousins who end up doing
Smooching.
stuff.
They do some cousin smooching on an island.
Yeah,
It's a great film.
Bring her
Okay.
parents.
But she was a model that became an actress, and so she's in this film. She's like a talk show host, and they're interviewing a former child star named Ricky Coogan, who in the set for the studio, his light has been knocked out, so you can't really see him. You can tell something's off about him, like his shadow is all jacked up. He looks like he has a cactus duct taped to his shoulder or something. Like there's something off about this guy.
Like whenever trying to hide someone's identity in like an interview.
Oh yeah, kind of like an unsolved mysteries kind of thing.
Yeah.
But she starts to interview like what happened to him. Something happened to him in the last couple of years, and so he starts to go into the story of what happened to him. So he was a former child star. He was in the Ghost Dude movies, known for the Boo Dude slogan, Boo Dude. So he had his stardom as a child, and he meets with a company called the Everything Except Shoes Corporation, which is just like a kind of a metaphor for like a big conglomerate of like every company, right? Like maybe like an Amazon or something, just like really evil kind of conglomerate.
Industrialist conglomerate type of situation.
Yeah, they're just pushing whatever they can. So they're meeting with Ricky Coogan because he was this former child star. They want him to push their chemical called Zygrot 24. And so it's been banned everywhere in the world. Or I'm sorry, just
Everywhere but America.
yeah, he's like only in the US and Europe.
Also,
it's been
that's the
banned.
guy, the like EES guy. He was in, I think, Demon Knight too, right? He's a
Yeah,
pretty
he was in
well-known
Demon
guy.
Knight. Yeah, William Sadler's a really good actor. He's still acting too. So, but he's pitching him the thing and says basically like, let me bring out our head researcher on the chemical, Senor Juan Valdez, which the guy off because he says my name is George Ramirez.
Also, like the entire like feel like like the feel of this movie is like I guess the best way is like a Naked Gun or like Hot Shots or something like that.
It's a very like lighthearted.
Yeah,
it's zany. That's a perfect way to describe it. Yeah, it's zany, but it has a very dark side to it. They have jokes in the world, but they don't address how silly things are. It's just like things just go on as normal. So they're pitching them the chemical. They bring out the scientist. He says, "I've been working very closely with this chemical," and as he's pitching it, they keep cutting back, and the actor is shrinking in size every time they cut back to him as he's getting more angry and passionate about this chemical to a point of where he's about like 3 feet tall. And I don't know, Jordan, you were saying is Deep Roy. I think he's like the middle actor in that point.
Like
maybe
second to last, I think.
Yeah, there's like 4 different actors they use as he's shrinking down. But basically he gets down to about 2 or 3 feet and sits at the table. And they start to pitch him. Okay, so what's it going to take, Ricky? What do you need? How does $2 million sound? He's like, $2 million sounds great. I'm not sure. He goes, I hear you. They pull off another card. How about $5 million? He says, if the board's in favor, he pulls a switch. The entire board raises their hands because they're all old men.
We get at Bernie's.
Yeah, they all been weakened at Bernie's with wires in their hands. So long story short, he accepts the endorsement deal to endorse this weird chemical down in South America. So he hits a plane with his best buddy, which is Ernie. And so they're just sitting on the plane talking about the trip, ordering peanuts.
Sorry, real quick. This is when I was like, oh, this is kind of like Naked Gun or an airplane movie, or because
Mel Brooks films like those.
Like silliness, yeah.
As they're talking, the flight attendant goes, the guy's like behind him, like, let me take her dynamite, and just puts it on the overhead compartment.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, this is just like something being an airplane or Naked Gun, just like those throwaway
like
silly
National
things.
Lampoons to a degree or something weird, but
and eventually he gets like a kind of a Pee Wee Herman kind of vibe at some points.
Right.
Too.
It's just goofy. So they're like, is that your bag up there? And they're like, yeah. And the flight attendant says, is that your ugly little troll? To which they both just screamed in each other's faces, Stuey, Gluck! And Stuey...
Alfred E. Newman. He looks like Alfred E. Newman.
He looks like the kid from Mad Magazine, seriously. So he's a super fan of Ricky from his child acting days. And he has like signed autographs with him. He's like, this is like what I had when you were on the Baker's Dozen, Ricky. Why'd you go so bad? Why are you working on this Zygrot 24? It says in Time Magazine it's bad for you.
So wait, he's saying this as they ran away from him and like smashed his head into the bathroom.
Yeah, I was going to get to that. So So they try to run away from him on the plane, and he said something about the Baker's Done, something about how he porked the mother on that show eventually. So So they're running away from Stuey, and they try to run into a bathroom where an Asian woman is on the toilet, and they close Stewie's head into the door, trying to shut it, crushing this kid's head. So basically, he's explaining that Zygarde 24 is bad. Why are you doing this? You're letting me down, Rick. He's like saying, sorry, Stuey. Deep down, I'm still a good guy. To which point, Stuey gets knocked by a cart full of food.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And then this is one of my favorite parts of the movie. Stewie is dazed by the cart, pulls on the flight door, and immediately flies out, like into sucked out into the air. And also, a man in a wheelchair just rolls back and falls straight down into the air, completely ignoring the rules of gravity.
Yes.
Furthermore, a flight attendant walks up to this door, ignoring the rules of gravity, and closes it and just dusts herself off.
I wrote on the same thing, just like they just get sucked out. She walks up fine, just closes the door. She's like, I'm good.
Oh, everything's fine.
Dude, the best part of that whole joke is the next scene, though.
Right. So as they're, to your left is the Grand Canyon, to your right is a panic-stricken little troll. He's screaming at the window and then flies off. Cut to an empty field where these guys are farming. They just tossed a mannequin from the air and just let it fall with that kid's clothes on.
But they have a big like pile of hay there. They're like, oh, he's gonna fall into the hay, and then he just slams right next to it.
Yeah, that's the best part.
The kid's screaming. You can hear him coming in like, ah! And they just bounce that kid's body off the ground.
Do you think that was intentional? They intentionally used a dummy on purpose because they knew it would look stupid.
The bounce of it, yeah.
Because like in line with like the way the movie's going, like those Naked Gun movies went, or was that just like they had to use a dummy?
I have a feeling, they didn't have the budget to make something work, or they didn't want to make it like too graphic, so they're just like, let's just throw a mannequin from the sky.
Yeah, but it's so perfect in this.
It was so good though. Yeah, it was so good though.
The noise, but he gets up and says he's perfectly fine, adjusts his glasses and says, "Hey, I'm okay." To which his autograph book hits him in the head from the air.
And he starts crying like,
he starts, he's all distressed. So, cut to the plane landing. They're in South America. They show the plane landing, which a plane explodes, and they're like, "What?" They're like, "Man, glad that wasn't our plane."
You think it's their plane,
like talking over it, yeah.
Right, they show a plane landing, and you're like, "Okay, it's their plane." And then it explodes, and then it cuts to them, and they're just like, "Man,
sure glad that wasn't our plane."
Yeah,
because it's a callback to the bomb that the guy put in the
the overhead department, maybe.
Yeah,
they go to a protesting event. For Zygarot 24, because they knew Ricky Coogan was arriving to promote it. And to different signs like Zygarot 24 kills, to Ricky Coogan sucks shit. Things like that. He notices a protester who's very attractive to him. And her name, what was her name again? Julie, that's right. So runs into Julie, but notices that, she's protesting against Zygarot 24, so he's like, I have an idea to approach her. So he dresses himself completely in a full body cast.
like a mummy almost.
Like a mummy with like a bloody mouth.
Yeah.
And just like throws his crutches down and throws himself into her, basically faking an injury and saying that they also came down here to protest Zygarot 24. And if you want to take a ride along with us, we're going, we have a car if you need a ride. So they end up going together on the local ride, and eventually Ricky lets it go that he basically fails, that he's trying to act like this injured guy named Josh Tavener, I think is the guy's name, but he gives up the ghost and says like, "Oh, it's Ricky Coogan all along. It's basically Ricky." So
because they were making fun of Ricky Coogan's like acting career and stuff.
That's
right.
Like,
no, that's not. That's not. No, it's not true.
His ego is so big that he can't resist revealing that he's Ricky Coogan. So they're riding along. Julie is still riding along, even though she's kind of pissed that she knows that's Ricky now. And they start to notice these freak show signs on the side of the road, like Hideous Frog Man, or Nosy the Nose Boy, or Nosy the Nose Man. So they take a ride. They decide to take a detour to this freak show owned by a man named Elijah C. Scuggs. Amazing name. But it's called Freakland with 2 E's. So Freek. Freakland. They basically drive into like this like big gated area. It kind of looks like a haunted house. There's like, industrial. There's like Frankenstein fire going off everywhere.
Industrial complex.
Yeah, like an abandoned warehouse and things like that. So they run into Randy Quaid, who is Elijah C. Scuggs. And
wait, can you take a look for me? Did you take a look at that wide shot they have of them driving on the road in the rainforest?
Oh yeah,
how terrible it looks. But I guess it's like early 90s, so it's so bad. It looks like someone, like a little kid made it. It's like I think, I don't know, 13 minutes or something.
Oh, it's like a miniature kind of shot, right?
Oh yeah. Jurassic Park.
Yeah.
There's a good shot of them driving through because there's a big sign that says Freaks with a Z on it. And then if they zoom in on the side, it says Freaks is a registered trademark of Elijah C. Scuggs Enterprises. Like, just like stupid jokes like that. But anyway, they run into Randy Quaid. He starts to introduce himself. He's like, I don't just show freaks here, I make them. Well, he eventually reveals that. But basically, he's saying that I have a special freak show in my shed. If you'd like to take my main show is closed for the night, but I do have a special show on the side if you'd like to see it. He's showing his creep vibes already, so you can tell something's off. But he also reveals he has an assistant named Toad. And Toad is like a 400-pound guy who's a living frog man with a bunch of bumps on his face and likes to tongue his food. That's the best way to describe it.
He's a
He
toad.
steals with his tongue, basically. He's a toad, yeah. So
Randy Quaid's really hamming it up in this movie. Like he's just
I think he's great in this movie. Honestly.
he just really was like, they were just
role.
like, hey man, just do whatever the hell you want. He just blew it out. Like he just
You're a mad
I'm
scientist.
just gonna be myself.
yeah.
Yeah, I'll just be me. But he leads them back into the shed, starts this is another funny joke, starts laughing crazily behind closed doors, like cut to him looking at a newspaper. He's like, I just love the family circus.
He's like, let me tell you about the US government.
You're right. Yeah, that's what he was really laughing about. So cut to, they are all chained up on a board. They're all tied up.
How did that happen?
Well, he got them into the shed, then Toad probably grabbed them.
All right, okay.
I mean, he's a big dude, I'm just assuming. But so they're all chained up. He's like, this is where he reveals, not only do I show freaks, I make them, I use Zygarot 24. He's like showing the Zygarot 24, and he's like, hey, you're not supposed to have that stuff. And he goes, I guess I'm not supposed to have these either. And he holds up Ramada towels.
I love that joke so much. It's so dumb.
Lightning crashes on the towels. It's fantastic.
You really can't rely on like the backstory of this to make any sense. Like this movie is just
No. It's mostly relying on goofy jokes. The plot is there to drive a basic story. But
Even like when he's like trying to select what he wants to do to them, like there's like Michael Jackson option. Yeah, Michael Jackson
on
option.
the freak machine.
Yeah.
his mouse is a live mouse.
Yeah, his mouse is an actual mouse with buttons on it that he's put. Yeah, and he has what looks like just basically like a big garbage truck looking machine that has the computer hooked to it, a big tub of Zygarot 24. Yeah.
Like the people that made this like they were just like, hey man, we got like $30 and you just build us something that looks like complete garbage. Like
yeah, just throw something together with a bunch of toxic barrels on it.
And then they have an ice cream machine on the far right that he gets like the green sludge out of.
No, that's a joke because it's the Tasty Freaks machine. Instead of a Tasty Freaks,
see what they did there.
Tasty Freaks.
Yeah.
You see where they went? So he makes the sludge, and basically what he does is he programs it on the computer what he wants them, like what freaks he wants them to turn into with the sludge. And then when he puts the sludge on them, they transform, and it turns into a. So he hits Julie and Ernie. He decides to make them like conjoined twins. So he hits them with the juice, and basically it goes into this weird claymation sequence where it shows like at one point like Gumby f***ing off with
Gumby
both.
flicks off people.
Randy Quaid yelling at them, yeah, hey, put that away. So they turn into a mesh conjoined twin. He takes them away, or has Toad take them away. And he says to Ricky, I've got something very special planned for you.
Do you think they could get away with that whole Gumby jerking off and flicking the camera off type of thing?
Adult Swim was doing that with.
He might be public domain too. Who knows? He's pretty
I was
old.
gonna say the same thing, yeah.
Like Robot Chicken, I'm thinking of, but yeah,
They can do that stuff with Winnie the Pooh now.
right. Yeah, that's.
Oh,
so
and-
is Steamboat Willie and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
So he puts the juice on Ricky. You don't see what happens to him. You just hear him scream out in like terror. And they cut to the next morning. They show Ricky starting to wake up once the sun's coming up, and Randy Quaid starts to call the his partner who's getting the Zygarot 24, and he's the Laughing Man. And the Laughing Man doesn't really do much except laugh. That's really the joke. So he says, basically like, hello, Red Swan. Or I'm sorry, this is Red Swan. I'm looking for the Laughing Man. The guy's like, good, and you? He just basically laughs the whole time and says, I want to make him the ultimate freak. I need more of that Zygarot 24. So he asks the Laughing Man for Zygarot 24. Ricky wakes up, and Randy Quaid reveals to him what he's done. He's only basically half done, but he's turned him into what looks like I don't know how to describe it. It's like half goblin, like.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but it's like this drawing I used to see of like this like green guy with like his eyes.
Looks
out
like a
and his
gremlin.
tongue out.
Bulging. Yeah, a lot of it, like, so half of his body, it's almost, I don't want to say like Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde, but like, it's like the green side of him, it's like a goblin, it's like bulging out. Like, it's really cool.
He kind of looks like part of the half bad gremlin from Gremlins 2.
There you go. That's a perfect, like, yeah, he's like a giant half gremlin.
Yeah, like the rat rod sticker you just see back in the night.
That's it.
Yeah. So he reveals to himself that he turned him into this like half goblin, and he said, "Oh my God, that was my good side." And Randy Quaid says, "Still is, if you ask me." So basically, leads him to this little outhouse shed outside, like a crapper. But basically, when he opens it up, it's like this insane like warehouse.
That's the Naked Gun thing, or just like that Mel Brooks
a perspective
thing
joke thing.
Yes.
Yeah. And then he says, "Oh, gee, like, how did you do this?" And he said, "I learned it all from Bob Vila," which is not really a more 90s joke than that.
And then Bob Vila shows up.
Yeah, Bob Vila was a 90s, like 80s, 90s hardware repair guy, basically on TV.
Norm Abrams was way better than Bob Vila, but go ahead.
I didn't even know who Norm Abrams. That shows how old that is. Jesus.
Al was way better than both of them.
Al Borland.
Al Borland.
But he leads him into the shed. Bob Vila shows up and tries to sell him more stuff, and he just pushes him off screen and reveals to them the rest of the freak show. So I gotta try to remember everybody here.
So it seems the timing of this seems weird because he sees obviously his two travel companions. They're already conjoined. They seem like they're already not okay with being conjoined, but like
gotten used to the idea.
Gotten used to it, and they already know the lay of like the shack.
Yeah.
So do you think it was only a day had passed since Ricky woke up?
I either that or I think they cut some stuff. I think there was probably some scenes they cut. Either that for like time or whatever. But
right, because it just seemed really weird that they were just like totally fine with it, or it was part of the point of the movie.
Well, they adjusted to their new like form.
They said the dog guy helped them.
Oh, that's Ortiz. That's right.
Yeah.
We'll get to him.
So yeah, was something cut or just like
it might have been just a story cut, or it just could have been.
I mean, they probably didn't care to make it deep.
Yeah.
If they're making this movie, they don't care.
So he starts to meet all the characters in the freak show characters.
Oh, wait. Before that, you skipped the long throw up.
Oh God.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. So that's, I don't know if we have to get to all these details. So Julie Ernie come out in their conjoined form and say, "Step into the light, Ricky. We want to see you, Coogan." He goes, "Okay, here I come." And to which point, they spray vomit. Well, one of them does. One of them like projectile vomits like a fire hydrant as they look at him.
Like very long,
very prolonged pukes. To which back and forth, and he says, "Well, you're no Mona Lisas yourselves."
The practical effects on his face, the makeup, I think is pretty good on his face.
Yeah.
Like
a
that's
lot
pretty
of the
impressive.
practical effects are cool in this.
Yeah. I think it's pretty impressive for the time period, considering what the budget they had, especially like with like the it's so gross, but when like he has that hole in his head and it's pus like squirts out,
juicing out.
It's so disgusting.
It happens on his hand too. Yeah.
Oh yeah, but even like the fact they're able to do that around his mouth and on his mouth, like that must have like
there's a lot of puppet work and everything. Yeah,
that must have sucked for him to like get in that.
Well, he couldn't move his mouth. Like half the movie, he couldn't move his mouth.
Yeah, half of his mouth is like opened like a jaw.
Yeah, and when he talks, you could tell that there's like he's not able to
drool coming out and everything.
Kudos for him for dealing with that.
There's a lot of cool like makeup work. I was saying that I think that there's a dude that worked on this named Screaming Mad George, and he did like this like a lot of crazy makeup work in like the 80s and 90s on horror movies and stuff like that, and that's why these ones look so crazy.
That checks out of his name, Screaming Mad George.
Yeah, right. Like for this kind of film, right? But at this point, he starts to meet the rest of the crew. I think the first people that approach him are the Worm. No, I'm sorry. Does the Dog Boy approach him at first?
Dog's the first one.
Yeah,
Ortiz the Dog Boy, who really is Keanu Reeves and worked uncredited on this film.
That's him. I can't believe it.
So Ortiz the Dog Boy is the leader of the freaks, and he starts to introduce all of the other worms, or I'm sorry, all the other freaks. And so the first one is a giant English worm who was a English professor.
The worm,
a anthropomorphic. I can't remember say that word. Right? Thank you. Cow named Cowboy. Mr. T as the bearded lady. Sockhead. Nosy the Nose Man. Rosie the Pinhead.
There's that fart guy too.
Yeah, he's my favorite.
The Eternal Flame. So the Eternal Flame just has he literally just has a flaming fart coming out of his butt at all times.
Audibly flaming fart. Like it's audible.
And he's happy about it too. He's like, fire in the hole.
He popped up in another movie we talked about, but he's in the Pirates of the Caribbean. He's one of the...
Yeah, he's in a lot of like B movies and stuff like that. He's a cool actor. I don't know that guy's name, but they start to introduce everybody. He's playing Family Feud. Ricky starts to freak out.
Hollywood Square.
What's that?
Hollywood Square.
Or I'm sorry, Hollywood Square. Or not Family Feud, Hollywood Squares. So it's Hollywood Squares, the Squares. He's playing the game, starts to freak out and saying, I'm not like you. They all start calling him a freak, to which point he's like starts to panic and pass out. I don't know if he like just wakes up again. I think they cut back to Ricky just like dealing with the fact that he's a freak at this point. Like he's just like sitting on a log and like he's kind of like just bummed out.
Yeah. His Charlie Brown shirt.
Yeah, he has a Charlie Brown shirt. He has his fist on his chin on his fist. It's like, what am I supposed to do? And I think Giuliani hand him a form that says, so you're a hideous mutant freak. Now what? Like kind of pamphlet to try to help him out. To which you were talking about his some of his makeup like squirting out juices. His hand juice starts squirting on the pamphlet there. So that's more makeup work there going on. But anyway, so more of the freaks start to talk about how, we were just like you. We were normal people before he used the machine on us and turned us into freaks. And they just start to go into some of their origin stories, right? So I don't know what yours guy's favorite was, but like they go into the worm. He was a scientist or a teacher,
archaeologist,
archaeologist. He was looking for the fat pudgy worm. He was looking for a specific
worm guy,
he was a worm scientist or worm traveler.
They have a name for whatever his field of science study is.
A wormer.
A sicko.
He was wormish.
Sicko.
So he is looking for the fat pudgy worm, and Scuggs turn him into a worm, obviously. And then they cut to the bearded lady, which again, this movie came out in the early 90s, folks. There's some jokes in this film that I don't think would fly maybe in 2024. And it's just me speaking.
Oh no, they would not.
No. So, the bearded, Mr. T is the bearded lady. And he said he was a trucker and he came, the timing of this joke. He was just confused. He didn't know what he was doing in life. He showed up to his freak land and thought he could help him out. And Randy Quaid whispers in his ear, you'd probably be better off without a and to which Mr. T is about to punch him. And he says, hey, you can keep the beard. And then they hug immediately.
He's like, okay, cool, let's go.
So he goes, now I know who I am. I am the bearded woman and I like me. So my favorite,
there's some kind of positivity there, right?
Well, there is.
Yeah,
it's just I don't know if the message is completely right.
Sure,
if it's not delivered the correct way.
Correct, the proper way. So my favorite origin story though is when they cut to a hammer on the ground.
Oh God, yeah.
And it just cuts to Elijah Scuggs in a hardware store looking at a wrench, and he starts laughing maniacally. And everybody starts crying like, man, that's a rough story, man.
You left out the part where he was talking to the troll.
Stewie Gluck. Oh, yeah. So, okay. Rick discovers that he has a telekinetic connection to Stewie Gluck for some reason, that he can somehow speak to him through his mind.
I think Stewie's my favorite character in this whole movie.
Yeah, the Alfred E. Newman is super fan. So Stewie's like super pumped about this. And Cowboy tells him that, well, some of us have special powers. We get ESP and Sockhead, he has ESPN. So he's predicting wrestling moves.
Yeah, he's sitting in front of a TV or something.
Yeah, Bobcat Goldthwait said, watch out, Hulkster. He's going to give you the skull cracker. So basically, they all have like ESP or some form of telekinesis. So he's saying that he's your true soulmate, and he's saying there's no way that Stewie Gluck is my soulmate. He's a stupid troll. I hate this kid. Stewie gets the impression that Rick is in trouble. He can see that Ricky is stranded somewhere in this like remote area. He's all messed up.
They can communicate to each other.
Right. They speak to each other, and Stewie decides that he needs to help Rick out. So he's gonna. Stewie draws a picture of Rick, which is like a.
This is the best part of the whole movie, man.
Yeah,
So
I was on
good.
board to this part.
It is so
Stewie
good.
just draws a picture of Rick. It's like an 8-year-old Crayola drawing of like this monster man.
I'm gonna save him.
Yeah, I'm gonna save him. I'm gonna take this scoop to the latest news. He's like, I'm gonna dedicate this scoop to Rick, and he takes it to all like the news places,
The top news places.
yeah,
Top
all
news
the
places.
big like newspapers and all the reporting
Time,
and everything.
USA
So-
Today, things like that.
yeah. So they had the same shot where he goes into an office, and it's basically like a doorway on the right and a dark plate glass window on the left. So he goes to the door on the right, door shuts, about 2 seconds of silence, and they just throw the kid through the window.
Because that frosted glass window, so you just see his shadow.
And you just keep hearing the kid grunting as he's going through the window, like, oh!
Yeah.
And they keep doing this at
It's so
every
good.
news reporting
It's so good.
office they go to. Till finally he reaches, I think it's like the Weekly World News tabloid.
Yeah.
And he says, to which the editor-in-chief is like, America needs to know. So he's like, Bert, give Mr. Gluck his fee and show him the way out. And Stewie goes, that's okay. I know the way out. And he throws himself through the window again. So cut back to, I think it's at this point, it's the first night of the first freak show.
Yes.
Yeah.
Ricky, at this point, he's still struggling with like being this hideous freak. And everybody, again, his friends Julie Ernie are like adapting really well, like being part of the show. Ricky did say earlier, like Jordan brought up, Julie said that Ortiz taught her to channel her anger about like what all like this whole mess and like being morphed and everything. So basically, like Ricky's still struggling with it. So they're having the first big show night. The crowd is pouring in from the South American crowds are pouring in. The locals are pouring in. There's a lot of crazy stuff going on just leading up to this start of the show. There's a heavy petting zoo. Well, I should say this. There's a light petting zoo, which had I think it was a dog with 2 butts and tails.
That was a petting zoo. It just says petting zoo.
It just said petting zoo. Okay, so that was the petting zoo. Cut over to the heavy petting zoo, and it's just some guy like making out with a goat. So
They have a thing that says "Ask me, I'll fart."
I'll fart your weight.
Yeah.
It's this little, it's a small person clown. He's like, I bet you weigh about 107. And they're counting off the farts one by one. So they're all like, 1, 2, 3. Cut to that's just random scene just showing you what's going on in this freak show before the big show starts. So basically, like, everybody's like freaking out. There's gunfire going off. And before the show starts, they start the show. Randy Quaid says, quiet. There's a gunfire. People are just like literally like punching each other to death. He says, quiet, please. They all calm down and sit down within like half a second. So they start the show and he starts to introduce some of the freak performers. And he starts off, I think you guys sent me a clip of this when you were watching this. It's a screenshot. Rosie the Pinhead is the musical stylings. She's opening the show. And Rosie's basically like, she's just like a bald woman, but she did have like a pin type. Did she have like a pin type
It's like
haircut?
almost
or
like a cone head a little
yeah,
bit.
like a shape toward the back. Like,
It looked like she was like a pulled apart Barbie.
okay.
Kinda
yeah,
thing.
yeah. Yeah, just like Stretch Armstrong, but the female version just in the head. But basically, she comes out to serenade everybody. She's coming out in a very sultry intro. She has like the Marilyn Monroe Breakfast at Tiffany's outfit on. She has the sunglasses. As soon as she takes the sunglasses off and begins to sing, it kind of sounds like this. Starts slamming the microphone into her head. But the crowd loves this. They're just swaying back and forth. So no, I'm sorry. This would be, who's the next performer?
Is it Jolie
Is it
and
Nosy?
what's his name?
Is it Julie Ernie? They're doing like a tap dance routine. So
yeah.
it's like tapping for laughs or something. They basically have a title card for each act. And so it's like, they're telling like these bad vaudeville jokes. And I think, I think I actually remember this joke. He says, "Hey, Julie, how many feminists does it take to screw in a light bulb?" And she says, "I don't know. How many?" He goes, 2. 1 to screw it in and 1 to ride my Rodney. To which she takes the cane and smacks it off his face. They're very Three Stooges with each other. They like kind of like punch each other and like smack each other because they can't stand each other. He's like a huge like male pig and she's a feminist, so it's just like the perfect odd couple dynamic to be tied together.
It goes back to the beginning of the movie where she's like, "Oh, freak shows! I love freak shows." After she's talking about how we have to save the planet and save people, and
right.
Yeah, she's like, "Oh, wait, freak shows, great, let's
and
go."
And exploiting people, right? Exactly. So it's just like the dynamic there. So the next act I think is Nosy the Nose Man in like a dancing gorilla suit, and to which point his music screws up and he just gets off and starts slamming the. The weird thing about Nosy the Nose Man, I don't know if you guys noticed that he doesn't really do much in this movie. Like it's just like it's a dude with like a huge nostril. Like they really like put the nose hairs and everything in there, like the detail. But the character itself doesn't do. Really.
Yeah,
like,
imagine the nose.
I kind of like
on,
that though.
Yeah, imagine the nose on Double Dare. Where they had to like
get the flag out of there.
Yeah, holy
flag
crap.
Living Double Dare.
Yeah.
That's what became of him.
So he finishes his act. It's all messed up. Come out to Sockhead doing his Polka Fever act, which is he was like basically, and we didn't really explain what Sockhead was. 'Cause I didn't really say that, but Sockhead is just a sock puppet for a head.
But
So
the
it's
body's
like
the same.
The body's a normal human body, but the head is just a sock puppet.
Yeah, what was this? We didn't talk about his throwback scene where he was a fisherman.
Oh yeah, that's right.
And he's just like,
he's like, nice place. He tries to shake his hand. Narrated Quaid's like uncomfortable by him, and he says, I'm sorry, I'm not much for stories.
that was it.
But he's singing, yeah. So Sockhead's doing his song with like polka. He's like ringing his bell. It's like la 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 la. I'm not gonna be able to sing this. He's like, we do the Wiener Schnitzel polka because we like to eat fried veal or something like that. But basically, the crowd loves it. They're all standing up clapping. He's like, thank you. You've been a wonderful crowd. He trips. The sock falls onto the microphone and reveals that he actually isn't a sockhead, but it's a hand under the head. Which this off the crowd. There's two people that there's an insane looking hippie that says, hey, that's a hand under there. And a nun says, it's a hoax. So basically, this off the crowd. They go into a frenzy. They want to bring out the big act, which is Ricky, and he's called the Beast Boy. So they bring out Ricky. Randy Quaid gave him like some military looking stuff to wear, and he like ditches it before he goes out on stage. I don't know if you guys noticed that. I've watched this movie a million times. That's why.
He had like camouflage on before.
You're right. Like he's wearing that before he went on stage. So it's clear like he wanted him to do some kind of like, violence thing or destruction thing. But Ricky comes out as the Beast Boy, but in full Hamlet garb, inspired by what the worm told him about acting and everything, and be like who you are, be yourself. So he reenacts a scene from Hamlet, and they put so as he's going through the scene of Hamlet, they pan through the crowd and run into a theater expert. He says, if you have trouble understanding Mr. Coogan's interpretation, please use the handy subtitles.
Professor Nigel Crump from Oxford University.
Thank you for that.
The guy is shown again from the heavy petting zoo making out with the goat again.
He did, but he stopped making out because he took notice of his act.
He's so inspired by.
Everybody's so moved by his act. Right, exactly. So basically, he's like, I am a man, half scared ugly. And they just put a subtitle that says, I'm ugly. And it's like, why must I never taste the delights of life? And it's like, I never get laid. That's the subtitle. So, but everybody loves the act. They all sit up clapping. And it's revealed that one of the agents from the original company that sent him down there, EES, is in the crowd. So Ricky sees this.
He's not even in the crowd. He just like comes in.
Oh, that's right. He walks in at the end of the show. But
Yeah.
the crowd's like hugging him and stuff. So I forgot that. So yeah, he walks in at the end. He's kind of like disgusted by what's going on. He like looks at him and just immediately disgusted. Ricky sees the EES agent, jumps into the crowd. The crowd's like pinching and like they're like all happy. They're like loving this. They're pinching the EES agent. He goes, EES.
He thinks they're there to save him and like turn him back to human.
He's relieved that he's there. So he's like, thank God for EES. They're there. He goes, yeah, Rick. He goes, I think it's what you got going on here. It's hip. It's fresh. And I think the kids are going to love it. but I don't think the big boys in the big room are going to get it. And so Rick is kind of puzzled by this and says, so what are you trying to say? This is one of my favorite lines of the movie. He says, well, Rick, I guess what I'm trying to say is that you're ugly enough to burn the nose hairs off a dead nun. To which the crowd immediately starts laughing. And they're all like pointing, laughing at him. And they're like, it's doing like these crazy zooms where like they're zooming in on faces, laughing at him, their fingers pointing at him. You can tell this is like stressing him out. He goes into like this super rage mode. His goblin or demon eye turns red. Juice starts coming out of his head.
Yep.
He grabs the EES agent's head and yells, "Eat shit," rips his head off. Throws
it the camera.
Into the camera. Well, yeah. And then the head, as it's ripped off, or I'm sorry, post rip off, looks at him and says, "Rick, now you're just being childish." Throws the head into the camera, which then explodes into a complete gore. And everybody's like, run for your lives, because he's like flipping out at this point. They don't want to get killed too. So a few things. The I Like Ike guy that from earlier the protest has the sign driven through him has gotten killed. It's like bleeding out.
Who's the guy with the camera? There's a guy with the camera.
Oh yeah, so that guy.
I've seen him in so many other movies.
That guy's name,
like, here and there.
He used to be on Dave Letterman back in the day. His name was like, and MTV back in the day too. So it kind of makes sense he was at this because they worked with MTV. But his name's like Melman or something. He's also, fun fact, he's on like one of the Offspring albums at the end. He's like something kiss my ass or at the end. I forget what he says, but he's on the album too. So yeah, that actor is yelling during this whole show saying, "What's the matter? You afraid of a little rough stuff? Morons."
Idiot.
Yeah, you idiots. So everybody runs out. They're panicked. Toad is playing Game Boy on the outside. He doesn't even notice. And Ricky just kind of like screams out and they fade out to the next morning. Ricky decides he's going to try to escape. Okay, he needs to get out of here. It's early morning. So he finds a fire escape like trap door in the shed that they're trapped in, right? Because the main door is locked. So he's hitting the trap door with his hand. He's like, that's against the law because it's locked. So he notices that through a hole in the fence, or the wall, I should say, that a milk truck has approached. There's a milkman delivering milk to the compound, right?
So good.
So
good.
The milkman, he goes, "Hey, milkman, come here." He tries to get the milkman's attention. The milkman comes over, right? The milkman's like, "What is it?" And by the way, the milkman is the director of this film, that actor, by the way. So if you watch this again, or if you're watching, this is the director of this film. He says, "Hey, milkman, I just laid a turd that's spitting. I just laid a turd that's a spitting image of Kim Basinger." To which the milkman replies, "Boy, if I had a dime for every time I heard that." Like, it's almost as if he's really angry because he's heard this so many times. That specifically, right? But he says, to which he entices him further, to which he says, "She's naked too." The milkman says, "Really? Well, this I gotta see." So the milkman pulls open the fire exit, or the sealed door, and you don't see... You basically see the milkman enter from the outside into the interior. You don't see what happens. The milkman declares, "That's just a regular turd." It looks kind of like Winona Ryder, but he gets punched by Ricky. To which Ricky puts on the milkman the uniform.
In like 2 seconds.
In 2 seconds, full garb, but he also has his shoulder, because his like shoulder's all mutated. It's like ripped through the outfit and everything. So he's trying to get outside, but he's noticed outside, he's trying to get to the milk truck to escape. There's a giant head of Elijah Scuggs that's rotating at the center. It's almost kind of like a theme park. It is like a theme park where it's like it's his impression of his face, and it's the eyes keep following him as he's moving through the grounds, right? So he he notices the eyes keep moving to eventually the eyes disappear out of the head completely. And it's two Rasta eyeballs.
I.
With machine guns.
Yeah, they both have Uzis, and they both have Rastafarian hats on. So they're just
Rastafari's, yeah.
Yeah, Rastafari. Yeah, and they also talk like that too. They're like, Rastafari. Like,
I.
And so yeah, Elijah Scuggs has a portable like radio or a screen that he can see like through the eyes. It's his eyes, his surveillance. And he asked Ricky to come into the den, like his private office. So I lead him to the office. They have their meeting, and basically he says, well, he goes, you caught me like running. Aren't you gonna kill me or something? He goes, so when Randy Quaid says, sure, it'd be fun, but you're just too successful. He goes, so I'm trying to work out something with you. And what I'm trying to do is I want you to become a super freak and kill all the other freaks. That's my plan for the next show. So as he's explaining this to Rick pockets, I'm trying to remember what he grabs from his office. It's the, whatever the case is, he steals something to get into Elijah Scuggs' lab that night. So I did forget to mention, there is a giant milkman fight during this scene right before he gets into the den, because the rest of the freaks are trying to escape as well. And they've also donned milkmen outfits.
Which is like where they get these from.
Yeah, right. Where did they come from? And there's a joke there that he says,
I got it. I wrote it because I loved it. So Elijah, also Mr. T's holding the hammer, and it's also dressed as a milkman, which is fantastic. But they're like fighting, and Elijah looks out and he's like, that's a lot of milkmen on the same route. No wonder they fight.
This is observation.
It's just like so stupid. So like, and what's funny is they're
naked gun again.
Yeah, they're doing all this stuff to try to escape, and he's like not catching on to it. And then there's a joke later that also kills me, which we'll get to.
Yeah. But so basically they start fighting because he has an argument with Ortiz, the dog boy, who's the leader of the freaks, and says, 12 milkmen is believable. 13. Now that's just crazy. So they start to fight, and Ortiz gets distracted because of I, but also because of a squirrel that somehow got in there. Immediately he's
distracted
just like,
by the squirrel, then the I chase him, and when he chases it.
Yeah, so Ortiz chases the squirrel off the compound, like escapes, but the eyeballs chase after him. So at this point, the rest of the freaks, because Ortiz has left, they decide Rick is really their leader now. And Rick has a plan to sneak off to the lab in the middle of the night to make a good batch of Zygrot 24. So when Scuggs applies it to him in the next freak show, he'll be a good super freak instead of a bad one. And basically it won't kill the rest of the freaks. I mean, like that's the goal here. So he wants to like become a good super freak. So they start coming up with a plan, and I think that that joke comes after. I'm trying to keep my jokes in order. So they go off in the night, and they said the worm will tunnel us into his lab, and they start to tunnel into the lab late at night while Elijah Scuggs is watching a TV show in his office. Right? They're tunneling into the lab, and they come across a hole in the middle of their tunneling, and the worm says, "Good God, you've discovered the lost city of Noct." and then the slide changes, and they're like, "It's Old Faithful." Ooh. And then it changes to picture of Ernie's bar mitzvah from when he was a kid.
Yeah.
They're like, "Come on, Ernie, we got to get going." So they get up to the lab, they tunnel through, and they start to make the good Zygrot 24 mix, right? But as he's turning the machine on, he forgot to turn the volume down, or at least it makes he has to pull the it's like a lawnmower, almost like a lawnmower pull to get the machine started, to get the juice going. So as he's pulling it, it's just loud sirens and things going off, which are okay because Scuggs is watching a cop show. It's just completely muffling it. So he goes, "Oops, sorry, I'll turn down the volume." He turns down the volume on the machine. He's like, "All right, guys, no more screw ups." He knocks over an empty cup
Wait, you skipped over someone getting their demise.
Who was getting their demise? Oh, that's right.
Very important part.
Because as they're discussing the plan before they break in, Sockhead starts to panic. And he's saying, like, this is a death trap. We got to get out of here. So he starts to try to run out. The eyeballs, come back and hear this. And they corner him. Sockhead says, out of my way. And they blast him with Uzis. I mean, like, in great gory detail.
Yeah, it's like
he's just taking bullet shots. His body falls down, and the hand is making the hand puppet
like
mouth thing with the thumb.
Like,
yeah, I can't really do the we're on audios, but basically, like, he's doing the thumb to mimic the mouth, and there's like blood coming out, coughing and everything.
Yeah.
So Sockhead did die. I forgot to mention that before they went on to the expedition. So he's making the Zygarde 24. Scruggs is watching a TV show. He turns on the machine. He says, all right, no more screw ups. He knocks over an empty cup onto the floor, to which Scruggs turns his head around and goes, styrofoam cup, as in like a questioning, as he would know that an empty styrofoam cup would have hit the floor like two buildings away.
It's so funny because they're making so much other noise. And like the thing that makes basically no noise, the styrofoam cup, he hears. So
he starts to get up out of his seat and make his way over to the doorway. And the juice is still coming out of the machine, so it's still processing. They see the doorknob start to turn. They're like, it's doing that slow turn, just like the suspense of the scene. Like, oh no, he's coming. It cuts to the other side of the door, and he can't turn the doorknob because it's like, God, buttered popcorn. So they make the juice, but he gets it into I've also thought this was a good joke too, if you know the coffee. A cafe busted. Well, it's busted though, I thought it said on there.
Oh, did it?
Because I thought it was supposed to be Bustelo, like a joke, like a reference to that coffee, but it's cafe busted, because as he's putting the juice into the coffee can, the tunnel walls to get back into the shed are starting to collapse, so he loses the can in the lab. So they go all the way back to the shed. They tell the freaks, he's like, we made the juice to kill Scruggs and make the good super freak. Yay! He's like, but I lost on the way back to the lab. So they start throwing tomatoes at him. But he's like, but as I was leaving, I found some macaroons. There's enough for all of us. So they all start partying again. So basically, they all eat macaroons except for the worm, who mentions he hates macaroons, and they're all passed out at this point. Like,
isn't the macaroon a big part of the?
That comes back later. That's a thing. So, they're all like passed out, and cut to the next morning, where I should also mention that Cowboy has a heart-to-heart with Ricky at some point. He keeps mentioning to Ricky that troll Stuey Gluck could help you if you just let him into your heart. He's like, you just got to be his friend, basically. So,
you also didn't mention that Ricky got taken, or Stewie got taken by.
Oh, that's right. He got taken by the Laughing Man.
Yeah, towards the middle of the film, he got taken by the Laughing Man, and like basically just hijacked
once his news story came out.
Yes.
So his news story got published.
Did they establish who the Laughing Man is yet at this point?
Oh yeah, that's coming up right now. So he right after his, that's a good point. Right after his news story, he was abducted by the Laughing Man, and they put him through some torture. At least they made it seem that way. So they just keep pushing this kid to like hell. So
I love this kid, man.
Yeah. Cut to the next morning, a bunch of trucks are breaking through the gates. It turns out that Scuggs is working with EES. So they're the ones providing all the stuff to the Zygarde 24 to him, not just in the area. And it turns out the Laughing Man is the CEO, or I don't even know if they established his name, but whoever runs EES, that was who was given the supply. So what they're trying to do is basically Scruggs wants to make a super freak land with the Zygarde 24, and EES wants to put some of the Zygarde 24 and use his tools into the water supply. And there's a whole scene, basically, they have they're in his lab, and they have a whole like a big
Scuggs is trying to get them to get. He wants more of the
Zygarde.
That's right. EES is providing Zygarde 24, and Scruggs is partnering up with them because they want to put it into the water supply to control basically everything under their company name.
And he wants more of it to do more experimentations.
Right. He wants to make more of his freaks and put on his show.
Yeah, yes. Yeah.
But they have the EES guys have a spokesman come up and basically give the pitch of what they want to do. They want to like modify workers to have more arms and like no genitalia so they don't have to go to the bathroom and things like that. And
secretaries that are better looking and stuff have better bodies.
Yeah, like modify them. And Scruggs is like, yeah, the guy says, why not just put some in the water supply? We have a whole new consumer and we own the copyright. To which Scruggs replies, this guy's really good. And the CEO tells him, we lured him away from Pepsi.
That's right. Yeah. Because Pepsi wasn't doing too good at this point, were they?
I don't think they were in like that was like the Pepsi Challenge time, like around the mid 90s. I don't know.
This was 93, so this would have been Pepsi Challenges yet, right?
Yeah. They didn't have the Pepsi points that were around where they screwed that kid with the fighter jet.
Oh.
But, okay, so during this time, Rick is is he in the lab with him? I know Stuey is in the lab sneaking by trying to get the can while this meeting is going on.
Yeah. Stewie, it's all about Stewie, man. He saves the day.
I like how they bring in like the yes men in on like off a forklift, so they're all like
that's
down.
right. One of them falls off.
Yeah.
So Stewie manages to get the Zygarde 24 can from the meeting and sneak into the show later that Scruggs is going to have, where he's about to turn Ricky into a super freak and kill all the other freaks. So EES also has tickets to the show. They're up front. So during the show, Ricky is kind of like strapped to a big Frankenstein board with like, belts on him and everything, so he can't move. He's in like a Talking Heads like blue suit for some reason. I don't know why that was, but that was just like some random thing while he was in a suit. But so he's strapped to the chair. Stewie's trying to telepathically communicate with him at this point, saying, I'm over here, Rick. I'm in the crowd. And he can't, the crowd is so packed that Ricky can't see him from the stage.
Also, the show lights.
Yeah, the show lights are blinding it out too. So Stewie stands up on one of the chairs and says, like without speaking, obviously telepathically saying, over here, Rick, getting in the viewpoint of this one guy. To which this biker stands up and
dumps it on his head.
grabs the coffee can of Zygarde 24 and dumps it on Stewie's head and says, God damn it, kid, will you sit down? So Stewie then morphs into the super freak. And I don't know how to describe it. He kind of looks just like, it's basically like Alfred E. Newman if you were like Ren and Stimpy.
And that's the thing, like, it has the Ren and Stimpy look to it. It has the Mad Magazine looked like this over-characterization, but also like the weird stuff from the 90s, like we were talking about earlier, like punk and skate culture. Like,
dude, the Rat
really
Fink,
cool.
The Rat Fink hot rod guy was like perfect.
That was it. Sorry, yeah. That's like so spot on.
It was Cafe Bustelo, you sons of
It was.
I just saw the picture pop up on my phone. All right, fair. I thought it was a joke. I guess the joke's on me.
Yeah, the joke is your eyes don't fucking work.
My brain don't work, okay? So anyway, at this point, Stewie is morphed into the super freak. and he gets into an argument with Scruggs on stage and basically says, like, your ass is mine, Scruggs. To which he replies, this kid looks pissed. So the EES guys start to approach Scruggs' machine and start to like move it out of there. So Scruggs is kind of puzzled by this, like, what the hell are you doing? He goes, this to one of the employees of EES says this machine is now the sole property of the Everything Except Shoes company, and tell him to eat shit, yokel. So basically they screw him over. They try to screw him over and take the machine. He's like, I knew I couldn't trust you double-crossing corporate greaseballs. So it says break glass in case of double-crossing corporate greaseballs. And he sprays them with a bazooka of Zygarde 24, which turns all of the employees into a living flesh mouth shoe, is the best way I can describe it. So they all all the employees are morphed into that like Freddy Krueger nightmare shoe. They're like walking out of there at this point. One big shoe.
Everything except shoes.
Everything except shoes company. Exactly. Coming back around. And so Ricky, at this point, Scruggs puts the juice on Ricky. Ricky turns into the evil super freak. And he's getting ready to kill Stuey. They get into a big tiff, a big WWE type wrestling brawl. And I think the Oxford guy shows back up and he's like pissed off.
Well, the little eyeballs, eye and eye come in again, and Stuey.
Oh, that's right. He throws
dirt in their face, their eyeballs, and they
that's
run
right.
away.
He throws dirt in their eyes, and then they start to fight. Ricky and Stuey get into a big wrestling fight. I'm betting my bar mitzvah money. He yells out. So they get into a fight. He knocks Stuey down. He gets him basically with a steel pole, and he's about to kill him. To which point, Cowboy screams out, I'm going to do my best impression of this. I reckon that troll could help you if you just let him into your heart. And he just keeps repeating like for 10, 20 times, your heart.
That's
your
a very
heart.
Pee Wee Herman kind of thing.
Yeah.
Right.
So it comes, like Ricky realizes it comes. Everything comes. No, Ricky realizes that. Ricky realizes that.
About everything.
No. Ricky realizes that
You pull hard enough.
Stuey. God
Brian's trying to go to sleep, Chris.
I am. I'm trying to wrap up this bull.
Wrap it up, B.
So Ricky realizes that
Everything comes except my butt.
Stewie was always his true friend and his true soulmate. And he loves him. And he gives him a big hug. To which, I think Ricky hits Scruggs with a single punch to the head. Like, I'm talking about, it's like an overhead punch and he shatters his spinal cord in one punch. He's like, I can't feel my fingers. So he basically says, I'm about to punch you a lot worse. He says, well, if you kill me, I can't tell you about the antidote. He's like, what antidote? For the freak medicine? He's like, for the freak? He's like, yeah, I have a time release serum that I baked into a delicious batch of macaroons that they found earlier in the lab. So they all ate it. So he says, well, if you ask me, you skimped on the coconut. And then he kicks him in the balls and sends him up into space. Basically up through the circus tent. He goes up into the sky and lands into the bucket of Zygrot 24, like the leftover goop.
Very Terminator Joker.
Yeah, Joker kicked into the goop and morphing, Terminator. Like the hand going into it. So he lets all the freaks out. They're all like making up, and there's like a big, I learned something today speech, kind of like the South Park thing going on, where they're all like, so they're all meeting up on the stage. The CIA or the FBI come in. I can't remember which one, but I think it's the CIA. They're like,
FBI.
Oh, it's FBI. Okay, they're like, good work, Ricky. Thanks for leading us to Scruggs' operation. He's like, well, that's great you're here, but how'd you? He goes, well, if it wasn't for Stewie's article in the Weekly World News, we wouldn't have come down here. He goes, but first, we had to get to that thing on page 3, which was like the house that dripped blood. Because they were going through all the stories in the Weekly World News, basically investigating all the cases. At this point, I don't know how the reveal happens. Like something happens where like something's coming out of the Zygot 24 barrel.
Yeah, it's Brooke Shields' character.
Yeah, so like something starts and she turns around and it's Brooke Shields' character from the beginning of the movie, the talk show host. And but it has Scruggs' voice. So it has Randy Quaid's voice under Brooke Shields. He's like, what the hell are you staring at? She's dressed like Woody from Toy Story, correct? So she says, what the hell are you staring at? The FBI replied, dead meat, and just unload all of their pistols into her. Cut back to the talk show that was at the beginning of the movie. And by the way, there was one cut in this film. There was a commercial for cheese.
A cheese mo.
Oh, yeah, I'm a cheese.
You like cheese. You'll love my cheese.
There's a can. There's a can.
And a big muscle hand that
can.
squeezes the can of cheese. So there's one cut back to the talk show. He's been telling the story the whole time. Cut back to the talk show. They finally fixed the light in the studio. So when they do cut to the light and the light comes back on, he's back to normal because of the time release macaroons that had the antidote the entire time. But it was just a cactus behind him and like a plant or something like that. But so he comes out And the big reveal, he's back to normal. All the freaks come back out and they're back to normal because they ate the macaroons, except the worm, who did not eat the macaroons because he did not like them. And it just, he stole the worm for the rest of his life. So not gonna be able to wipe his ass anymore. But basically, long story short, big happy ending, big reveal. But Brooke Shields is like, that's a crazy story and what an ending. Like, so Scruggs actually ended up looking like me. And he's like, yeah, the same look, the same shirt. But the only difference is he had these big, hideous feet. They pan down and it's like these pink toes that I think one of those toes is like going out like 5 feet. But basically he's like, I'm going to drink your blood. And as they reveal Julie and Ernie coming back out, she just gets blasted from the back by like 5 bullets each time. So she has a machete. She gets blasted, falls down. Ernie comes out. She gets back up, gets blasted again. Julie comes out, gives Ricky a big hug. And right before the credits roll, Friday the 13th style, she comes back up with a machete and freeze frame. End of Freaked. Cut to credits.
And Stewie's there, and he's still the same. Oh,
Stewie,
freak.
That's right. Stewie, because he never got the macaroons. I think he was just carrying garbage around to help out or something. Like he's like scratching his butt up there.
He looks like a troll.
Yeah. Now get lost, troll.
Did you mention they all had shirts on?
Oh, no, not at the end. No, they all had like their names on them or something.
Yeah, it's like, I was the nose, I was this. And then
I think for like the TV show, they probably did that, right? Or like the talk show, I would assume. Yeah,
and then the worm has the I'm still the worm shirt. And I think that's
like
hilarious.
Barely fits him.
Yeah.
But that is the movie Freaked.
That's it.
Well, Brian, thank you so much for recapping the movie Freaked. I'm going to go around now and ask everybody their feelings on the movie Freaked. And Brian, do you want to go first?
I mean, yeah, sure. I was to say, I've seen this film a bunch of times. If I didn't see this film when I was 11 years old, I don't know if I would love it as much as I would now. Like, if I just saw this movie now for the first time, I don't know if I would enjoy the jokes as much. It's definitely my type of humor. There's no question about that. But some of it's really like cheesy or cheap humor. So again, and it's, I'm an old man now. I'm 41. So again, a lot of these are like fart jokes. I do think some of this is still really funny, but not all of it still holds up in 2024. And I understand that. So I think this movie is really funny for I don't think there's a Naked Gun silly movie that is this dark. I can't think of another example of a film like this that has this sense of humor, maybe, that has these kind of like gross visuals and things like that. But it's always stuck with me, especially because I like Bill and Ted and that humor in those films. Yeah, Freaked is just it's a great movie.
Jeff, do you want to give us your feedback on Freaked?
Yeah, so like I said when we started this episode, that I had seen this before, but I was pretty inebriated, so I didn't really remember a lot of it. But upon second watch, I can't say that I was still laughing at the stupid jokes. Like, they're so dumb that you can't not laugh. Like, there's just the slapstick aspect. And on my notes, I actually wrote at one point, I said, there's literally too many jokes and other things happening to write about right now. So I just sat back and kind of enjoyed it. The Ramada Inn joke was so funny to me. And the styrofoam cup and the I'm still the worm shirt was so fun. They're just such little stupid details that I thought were hilarious. And yeah. No, it was a really funny, unique, and honestly, I'm surprised I'd never heard of it until you mentioned it. And I'm surprised so many people had clearly never heard of it, especially with the cast. So,
it's out of print too. I should say, you can't. I mean, physically anyway. You can. I think you can watch it on streaming, but you can't. You
can't stream it anywhere except YouTube for free right now because
right. I mean, I don't think anybody owns licensing yet.
Yeah. So, which is crazy.
Wasn't it a 20th Century Fox movie? So it was distributed by them. I don't know if they'd own it, but that'd be Disney now.
Disney, yeah.
Can you imagine Disney putting this out?
I mean, they've been putting some stuff out.
That's true. Maybe nowadays, yeah, actually.
Jordan, you want to give us our feedback on Freaked?
Yeah, I've done a complete 180 since I first came across this when I was younger. As I mentioned earlier, I only saw parts of it as a youth, and I was uncomfortable by it, but I never really gave it a shot. Even though I tried multiple times. Also, this came out in 93, but when I watched it, it's probably more like 95, 96. At that point, I've already seen like Naked Gun, Airplane, a lot of those Mel Brooks movies. But at that point, I was very much into like Jim Carrey movies. So like I never seen any dark humor movies, like never, like nothing dark humor kind of stuff. And this is definitely dark humor. But now as an adult, I can appreciate that more, like the dark humor, but there's still that like silly slapstick kind of stuff happens throughout the movie. Stupid one-liners, stupid like throwaway jokes, silly throwaway jokes, especially, but like the dark stuff, like the turd that looks like Kim Basinger, like it's so stupid. Yes, it's so stupid, but so good though.
Yeah.
Makes you laugh, actually kind of surprised a young me didn't like that, but I don't think I ever saw that part of the movie. But also, like, when I was a kid, I was like, this isn't that, like, it was Bill from Bill and Ted. I was like, why is he acting like an asshole? Like, there's certain scenes when he before he turns into his freak form, he has like this crazy, weird, creepy smile.
Yeah, he plays like a real weasel, basically.
And I was like, oh, it made me uncomfortable. But like, he did the same thing in Bill and Ted 2. Was it evil versions of Bill and Ted 2? Remember that whole thing?
Yeah.
Which as a kid, I just totally overlooked that. Like, I remember that as a movie, like, made me uncomfortable. Even like when they were in hell, going through like their like nightmares, like that creeped me out. So I was like,
grandmother.
Yes. Easter Bunny, the grandmother. Like, so why did this bother me? This movie bothered me. Why didn't I never get a chance? I never understood that. Oh, I don't understand it now, but I did a complete 180 this movie. I like it. I totally dig it.
Did you know? So wait, I just looked up the box office for this.
Yeah.
As of 2020, it cost $12 million to make. How much do you think it made?
Not much.
$29,296.
That's because that's all the box office run it had. It didn't have much because it went straight. Like as far as I know, it went like in the 90s. Like it went to VHS, right? Like direct to video almost. And then they didn't bring it back to DVD until like, I want to say like 2000 or 2002.
It was released in Italy before it was released in America.
Also back then, like the time frame for movies in theaters was much longer than it is now going to video or streaming. Back then it was like, you had to wait 6 months for most movies to come to video. Now it's just like 3 months maybe to go to streaming.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, man, they probably had this movie in like test audiences, and they were like, "What is this movie?" Like, this is the same year as Jurassic Park, so just keep that in mind.
Yeah, okay. That makes
sense.
All right.
Unless it was 92, and then it was like right before that. But yeah,
this is 91. 93 was a release date.
Yeah, they came out the same year, right?
Yeah.
Wait, Jurassic Park was June 93, so it was like a few months after that.
Competing with Jurassic Park.
Much more time was obviously spent on Jurassic Park, so you can't really.
Yeah, but I bet everybody was going. I bet that was like the thing everybody was chasing back in the early 90s or 90s. At that point, we're like, oh crap, we got to make a big budget thing like that. All right. Well, for me, my feedback on Freaked is that I do like Hot Shots, like that movie, like Mel Brooks movies, Hot Shots. Like I grew up watching those types of movies, so I've never heard of this one, which is kind of weird that I never heard of it. Didn't have no idea what the hell I was getting into when I began watching it. Even whenever you brought it up, Brian, I was like, "What the hell are you talking about?" It is. I think I text messaged you like this movie is an emotional roller coaster because it's funny and then it gets really boring. I feel towards the middle because there's a lot of stuff going on.
There's slow parts, yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of like little bumps and funny jokes. Some of the jokes did land well. It did land with me. Some did not. But I think overall it was a funny watch just because it's one of those types of movies. So I didn't like those types of movies that like that like kind of Mel Brooks comedy or like the Hot Shots or Naked Gun type of styling. I don't even know what they call that. I don't know if that has a name.
It's like satire, but like parody too, to a degree,
like
I guess.
Slapstick a little bit, I guess. But I mean, it was a lot of stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot going on.
Silly and stupid.
Big stupid.
Yeah, I think in general the movie it's contained to that like one like location for the most part, except for like those scenes at the beginning. But I think it wasn't looking to like set up like something between all the characters. So they did and it's a short runtime. They did a lot with the amount of budget and like time they had. Obviously the characters were really well put together. I don't really know how I feel about the overall story, but the Stewie character was really good. His whole like thing was really good.
Stewie Gluck.
Yeah.
Favorite character.
That was like a really good way of like, making the story make sense.
Right.
So the ending I was kind of down on. I was like, okay, just wrap this up.
I don't think it's a great ending, to be honest with you.
No. They could have done something more. Maybe they could have made it worse. I don't know. So it's a tough thing when it comes to ending something like that is just built to be like, you can only go so far in one direction before you have to try to like, okay, wrap this up. Okay, let's go around now and give our thumbs up, thumbs down, our rating for Freaked. Jordan, I'm gonna start with you first.
So like I said earlier, I did a 180 on this. I did not think I would like it at all, but I did end up liking it. It's a nice mix of dark humor with Naked Gun, trauma. Visually, it's a kind of trauma movie. Now, Pee-wee's Playhouse also kind of relates to the movies, and the show did the same thing. There's a little bit of dark humor, adult humor in there. So I think it's a nice combination of all those things. That being said, again, like the story's a little weird. There's some slow points, but I think overall, I like the story. I'm giving it a thumbs up.
Jeff, what about you?
The humor is so stupid, and all of the makeup effects were so funny and cool looking and like gross. And I don't know. It was just my lane of this is dumb as hell. I think it's great. Thumbs up. I can't believe it flopped so hard.
Yeah.
Brian, you want to go next?
Sure. I mean, you know how I feel about this movie. I think it's great. It's just my kind of dumb humor. Again, I don't know if you ask somebody like a teenager now to watch this film in 2024, I don't think half these jokes would land. But then again, I could be wrong. Like some of them are like time focused, some of them are inappropriate and like, whatever. But I think as a whole, the spirit of the movie is goofy as hell, and that's why I like it, because it is very slapstick and everything, and it's also very Ren and Stimpy, and that's like gross out humor is also my forte, so it's a thumbs up for me.
Well, for me, I agree with the funniness. It's funny. I agree that the humor's good. I don't think I'll ever watch it again, and I don't think I'd like tell someone to watch it.
I like this movie.
I don't think I'm going to watch it again. I won't tell other people to watch it. Like I won't suggest it as a movie.
I'm going to go out of my way to make sure other people don't watch it.
Yeah.
No,
I'll kill someone.
I don't think it was as good. I would rather watch those other movies. Like
I would rather watch a spitting turd of Kim Basinger.
But I will not give it a thumbs up. I will give it a thumbs down just because while it was funny, the other stuff didn't land with me. I didn't enjoy the story overall.
All right, everyone, boo him. Ready? Boo. Boo.
That's fine. All right. So this is Jordan's. What do you call this? Is your segment the around the watch?
Around the watch.
Around the watch. Jordan gives it a thumbs up. Jeff gives it a thumbs up.
Thumbs up. It's a hidden gem.
Brian gives it a thumbs up.
Thumbs up. Chris hates me.
I give it a thumbs down.
Boo, Chris. Boo. You suck. Stupid.
3 up, 1 down. The trifecta.
It's like haunted.
What a
haunted
dummy.
booze.
Oh,
what an idiot.
You
made a mistake.
You get the throat ghost.
Boo.
In any case, next week we're going to be watching something Jordan chooses, correct?
Yeah.
That's correct. Yeah.
What are you choosing, Jordan, for next week?
It's a movie I've never seen before. My sister suggested it to me.
Oh.
It's called 100 Beavers.
Oh, okay.
This is how she described it. She goes, well, I told her we're doing this. She goes, hey, have you ever heard of this movie? It's wild and delightful and funny and totally weird. I think you're the only person in my life who would enjoy it. It's live action, but kind of cartoony style, Charlie Chaplin-esque.
Oh, I think I heard of this. Yeah.
Ha. So I have no idea what it's like.
Okay, so we're all going in blind?
Let's do it.
We'll enjoy it or hate it together. We'll see.
We're raw dogging this one.
You together.
Raw
Thanks,
dog.
I was going to actually thanks my sister, but you said raw dog, so I'm not going to say her name.
We're not going to raw dog that. We're going to raw dog the movie that she
Jesus
suggested.
Christ.
I'll be like, thanks. And you're like, raw dog. And I'm like, never mind.
Well, thank your sister all the same for the next raw dog and episode of the Watch Pals.
Oh, boy. There it is.
Take that
She's
hot
not a
dogger.
part of it. I don't want. Like, she's not here for it. Like, I'm not suggesting her to be a part of the raw dog. But
You ran right into that last part, man. You're like, thank your sister for the last raw dog this
Make sure you thank
episode.
your sister for that raw dog.
okay,
Yeah, brother.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Oh, boy.
Next week on Raw Dogs.
Oh, they're switching it up.
Okay, so
Is that the porn one we do?
Oh, no.
Reviews on
It's the Patreon only for that one.
Patreon and OnlyFans.
I'll give this.
The Raw Dogs are here.
Hey, it's your boy Raw Dogs.
I'll give this 3 out of 5 edges.
Jesus.
The Raw Dogs give it a 3 out of 5.
Chris didn't like it again.
Oh, jeez. There's too much card abuse in this.
I give it a
raw dog.
6 balls out of 8.
All right.
They didn't hate each other enough.
Wow.
I wasn't entertained by the story.
So, thank you everybody for being here. Please leave a comment on a podcast platform of your choice. Please connect with us on social media. All those links can be found in the show notes below. If you have any questions or suggestions for a future movie that we could raw dog, please send us an email at watchpals.show@gmail.com. All those links and everything else can be found on the website at watchpals.show. We would like to thank Ben Miller for our original logo art and Jeff for all of our design art.
You're welcome.
I'd like to thank Ben Stein for his money.
I'd like to thank Ben Stiller.
You can find Ben Miller's art in the link in the show notes to his Instagram. And I want to say again, thank you, Jordan, for being here.
Yeah.
Jeff, thank you for being here.
Yo.
And Brian, thank you for being here.
Win Ben Stein's money.
Thank you all out there in Watchland. Until next time, say your watches to raw dog the next episode of Watch Pals. Good night.
Oh, boy.